Okay, in this video, we're going to go a little bit more in depth into the two different conditions that make up a conditional statement. So let's take a look at this conditional statement. It says, if you're in law school, then you took the LSAT. All right, so let's take a look at the first part. If you're in law school. Now, if you're in law school is what's known as a sufficient condition. When you know that the if or sufficient condition is true, you don't need to know anything else. It's sufficient information for you to conclude that the then condition is also true. Now, it's best to think of it as a guarantee. The sufficient condition guarantees that the then part is true. So, here if we're told that Akira is in law school, then we don't have to ask whether or not he took the LSAT. We know right away that he took the LSAT. Being in law school is all the information that we need to know to also know that he had to take the LSAT as well. Now let's take a look at the second condition. Then you took the LSAT. This is a necessary condition. In order for the sufficient condition to be true, the necessary condition has to be true. It's necessary for it to be true. Think of it as a requirement. The if condition can't be true without the then condition being true. So once again, if we're told that Akira is in law school, we know right away that he took the LSAT. The LSAT is a requirement for being in law school. So we know that if Akira is in law school, he had to have taken the LSAT. Okay, so the sufficient condition is a guarantee. It guarantees that the necessary condition is true. And the necessary condition is a requirement. It's a requirement for the sufficient condition to be true. But is the if condition also a requirement? We said it's a guarantee, but is it also a requirement? Well, no. If you're told that the then condition is true, that doesn't mean that the if condition has to be true as well. The sufficient condition only guarantees the necessary condition. It's not a requirement for it. So, for example, if we're told that Olga took the LSAT, that doesn't mean that she's also in law school. Maybe she's still in college, or she's teaching the LSAT, or she finished law school. Being in law school is not a requirement for having taken the LSAT. The sufficient condition is a guarantee for the sufficient condition, but not a requirement for it. Okay? Well, is the then condition also a guarantee? We said it's a requirement, but is it a guarantee? No. Once again, if you're told that the then condition is true, that doesn't guarantee that the if condition is true as well. The necessary condition is a requirement for the sufficient condition to be true, but it doesn't guarantee it. So going back to our example with Olga, just because she took the LSAT, that's not a guarantee that she's in law school. There's no way she could be in law school if she didn't take the LSAT, but there's no reason to think that she has to be in law school. So the necessary condition is a requirement for the sufficient condition, but not a guarantee for it. So to recap, the if part in a conditional statement is called the sufficient condition because when it's true, then that's sufficient for us to know that the then part is true as well. It works like a guarantee. The then part in a conditional statement is called the necessary condition because it needs to be true in order for the if part to be true. It works like a requirement. And remember, a sufficient condition isn't necessary and a necessary condition isn't sufficient.